This is Innerview, an inside look at the people whose music has changed our lives. Innerview is brought to you by Michelob Beer. Some things speak for themselves. By the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be, and Maxwell House Coffee.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to part one of a very special two-part interview of Van Halen. Tonight, we bring you the story of some LA outlaws who grew up on the streets of Pasadena, California, playing the club and bar circuit to become one of the loudest, rudest, crudest, and most cranked-up rock and roll bands ever to break a decibel ordinance. They are Eddie Van Halen guitars, his brother Alex on drums, Michael Anthony on bass, and our guest tonight, lead singer David Lee Roth, as we present an interview of Van Halen.
I was working the night watch out of Juvenile. She came into the room, blonde, sassy, and underage. Oh my God. The phone rang. It was her sister or Logan. Either way, it spelled trouble. That's where I come in. I carry a guitar. I'm rocking and rolling. I'm having a ball. And you're welcome to come. I'll be providing the refreshments. I realize they ain't cheering for me, but I am the cheerleader. You notice that? You know when I scream, I sound like Mr. Bill on acid.
And now, is that you on acid listening to Mr. Bill then, or Mr. Bill on acid actually screaming?
Trails. What was the question?
The question was, the song And the Cradle Will Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like an anthem, would you say?
Well, I got it from a lullaby that I learned as a young kid, which escapes me right now. I don't get pissed. I'm sorry, I can't remember it. Yeah, we wrote that song. I'm sorry.
Does not compute.
Beam up, Scotty. No sign of intelligent life down here.
David Lee Roth came up to my house on a Sunday afternoon, the day after a riotous 48-hour homecoming party Van Halen threw, in which they invited about 24,000 of their closest friends and called it a two-night concert stand.
Yeah. Los Angeles was great, man. It's like the homecoming, you know.
That's what I was going to say. It must be like that for you guys.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got our start around here. This is the biggest party of all. Whenever we come home, we had maybe 450, 500 people, you know, for each show backstage. And it's like, woo! We got a stereo. It's almost 1,000 watts itself just for the backstage area, you know, for warming up and warming down, you know. And just wheel it out and, you know, quadruple the usual rider in the back for drinks and ice and everything. And everybody says, yeah. That's kind of the whole point, you know, is the people and what's going on, you know. And LA is definitely an energy place. Why, you know, make it all exclusive and hang out with just one kind of people or just, you know, like that. So you have everybody show up and whew, makes it a great evening. It's just like it's on a little bigger scale now, you know. We travel everywhere. We go through the U.S., Europe, wherever you know, can think of. But it's just doing the same thing we've been doing since we started in the bars or what have you, you know. It's the same shuck and jive. People still say, shut up and play a song, you know.
Well, you guys used to play Gazaris a lot, right? I mean, tell us a Gazari story.
Dance contest night. Hey, baby, what's your name? My name is, what do you do for a living? I'm a donut waitress. You know? And Al, this lady wants to take a free ride. She get up in the spotlight. Yeah, don't forget to sign up before 9 and then be free before 2 for 1. And on Tuesdays, it's going to be this and that and your mama. And so don't forget to come down and get up. Because to get up, you got to get down. And to get down, you got to get up. So get up and dance, damn it. And as you can see, things really haven't changed that much. So.
I see. Still got the rap down.
Just having a good time. And when, you know, people say, how far have you come now, you know? Now you've come so far. And I think, yeah, I come far, about 12 feet, you know, from the audience to the stage. You know?
Yeah, that's a good thing. You think rock and roll's still magic?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Turned out to be 7 times as much more of it, you know? Really. And plus, you already know, man, about paying your dues. You know what you're running against when you come out the gates, man. Everybody sobs these stories. Oh, no, the manager's ripping me off and everything. Hey, you know that's going to happen anyways.
Yeah.
It's too many magazines and interviews with people like me and you that this story ain't been heard before. Quit complaining.
Good for you, man. I dig that attitude. I like the attitude.
Hey, you know, the whole band's got it, the crew's got it. There's 42 of us. It's not so much like a family. I like to think of it like a gang, you know?
Our interview of Van Halen with tonight's guest, David Lee Roth, will return in just a moment. I'm Jim Ladd, and we're back now with our interview of Van Halen and our guest tonight, David Lee Roth.
A lot of people say they're going to wait for the audience to give a spark, and then they recycle that energy, which is a great circle. That's what the idea is, to get it going, but I ain't waiting for no spark.
You're lighting up before you walk on.
Yeah, you know, and you get out there, and then, you know, there's a point, like if you're driving a car, you ever driven a car so fast, it's like, we were driving, where was it, in Phoenix? They got them long roads, you know, go through like the desert areas and stuff. And we were driving, there's some curves and corners and everything. And I says, Eddie, come on, man, you know, step on it and everything. Let's get it going. And he goes, oh, man, what do you want me to do? I go, don't use your brakes, just scream. So everybody pulls in the seatbelt and punch it, man. I call it screaming sports, man. And you punch it, and every time you're supposed to use the brake, you scream. That's rock and roll. That's why they don't let me drive anymore.
You know, when you listen to a Van Halen record, you sometimes find it kind of hard to believe that there's only 4 guys in the band, one of which is playing the microphone. You see, the amount of music that comes from this combination of bass, drums, and lead guitar can be pretty surprising. And I thought that we should ask Diamond Dave to give us some insight into the personalities of Alex Van Halen, Michael Anthony, and Eddie Van Halen, 3 rather shy and introspective artisans of their craft. How's Alex and Michael?
Tolerable.
Tolerable only? I see. I see. Well, since they're not here, why don't you tell us like a couple of real rude stories about them, you know?
Well, Al rented a Cadillac when we played with the Stones. And next morning, I says to him, you know, around breakfast time, I says, you best call the rental place. You think so? And he says, yeah, I better. And he called up the rental place. He says, hey, man, you got to come down and pick this car up yourself. He says, I ain't even driving it back in the shop. Guy goes, what's the matter, you know, like that? He says, hey, man, the right rear view mirror is like out of adjustment, right turn indicator don't work, and the right door don't even open, man. Guy goes, right door don't even open. He says, I checked the right out myself before you took it out. He says, why won't the right door open? Now goes, car's laying on it. Michael's a connoisseur of Jack Daniels. His best line is, hey, he likes a woman who knows what she is doing. Because after he finishes his bottle of Jack, he don't. I like the way the line runs up the back of the stocking. Ta-da!
We're not talking pantyhose. We're talking about the real thing.
We're talking about the real thing.
Yeah, you got it.
Hey, that's great stuff.
Guitar Player magazine has honored Eddie Van Halen 3 times in as many years. Awards which included Best New Guitarist and Best Guitar Player of the Year. He has also been praised by their producer Ted Templeman as one of the greatest guitarists he has ever seen in his life. In addition to his virtuosity on his instrument, he also is well known for designing and building his own guitars, custom models that have been copied by major guitar manufacturers. He is, as some people refer to him, a complete musical being.
Well, Eddie's like, he's a real musician, man. He's totally into music, you know. My game is words, obviously, you know, and Ed is like, that's his thing, man. Totally expresses himself through. You can tell how he's feeling on a given night just when you hear him tuning up, and it's like, you know, that's his way of communicating. And it's like a lot of rock people or music people try and get in on videos or movies or something. It's a different medium and it don't work out. Ed don't feel as comfortable communicating with people as he does through his music, and nobody should expect him to. You shouldn't really expect most musicians to be able to talk a lick or to act or whatever.
That's true.
You know, most of us wouldn't be musicians, you know. That's a good way of communicating. It transcends language. transcends words, you know. That's the way Ed speaks, and boy, when Ed speaks, Ed speaks. He likes his own sound, man. Ed's got his own thing. His guitars are all hand-built. You notice there's no tone knobs on his guitar. It has the sound that he wants. That's all he needs. It's got a volume knob. Yeah, it's got one knob, a volume knob. And he does the whole thing himself, and that's why it looks so crappy. And it's like, and all of the amps and everything are custom designed, you know. And you can hear it in the attack. Even when he's just tuning up, it's attack. It's like hitting a key almost, you know, instead of plucking a string. And the way he plays it, he invents new ways to play.
We'll be back with our interview of Van Halen. And when we return, we'll hear from Diamond Dave in regards to the infamous story about the brown M&Ms.
Brown M&Ms, man. Makes me emotional just to run my fingers through them. Yeah, but we'll get into that later.
Innerview, brought to you by Michelob, will be back in a moment with more of Van Halen.
We're back now with our interview of Van Halen, our guest David Lee Roth, and a bowl of the dreaded brown M&Ms.
We did get something here just for you guys because we knew you'd like this. So I decided to pull this out in case you got bunches of
Brown M&Ms.
Just for yourself, you know what I mean?
Brown M&Ms. Good. You want to hear the brown M&Ms story?
That's why we spent all that time, you know, pulling them out.
What it is in our contract, you know, with each hall, you got to have a rider, man, so you can specify every single thing you can possibly think of that you'll ever need or whatever, because you're living there, you know, like, welcome to my living room, you know? So you got to specify exactly what you want to drink, exactly what you want to eat, or you just won't get nothing. So we just made the most humongous rider of everything that we need. You pay for it, you know, but you gotta have it. And you know, in between electrical requirements, there must be 2,000 amperes and voltage, wattage, candle power. Those in between things, it says there shall be no brown M&Ms in the dressing room at pain of forfeiting the show. You know, like that. And then it goes on, there shall be 2,000 watts sockets, you know, capable of support. You know, it's just like stuck it in there to see if anybody go for it. And everybody does. They go for it. And every now and then somebody leaves the brown M&Ms in the dish, you know, with the food. And they did that in Pueblo. And I got very emotional. I was upset. I threw off all my timing, man. I didn't know if I could do the show. And I realized that the only thing that could make me get re-inspired to do the show would be a food fight. So we had a food fight, man, and we walled the food, man, you know, some great cornering action on buffet, man, you know, can't get no traction in the vegetables. And, you know, like, you know, the whole thing just demolished the whole thing. It was great. And then I felt re-inspired, and we did a terrific show. The people went nuts. And they weren't used to this kind of reaction. People went crazy and tore up the floor and this and that, and they blamed the whole thing on my brown M&Ms, man.
I also understand this town has never had a rock and roll concert again.
I don't know. No, to be straight ahead, it's not my responsibility to take care of the bathrooms or the concession stands or the floor in the arena. If you don't know how to have security, don't have no show. But don't tell me about people out front who are getting crazy busting windows and then blame it all on a food fight that I had inside. A food fight cost you maybe $300. And they're blaming $15,000 on a rock and roll band, and I'm saying don't scapegoat no rock and roll band. They tried that nonsense in Cincinnati with us, busted me. I come backstage, the mayor of the city, the fire marshal, and the police chief is waiting backstage for me, man. You're going inciting, disturbing the breaking fire codes, encouraging and abetting the crowd to do this and this kind of use and everything like that, and they try and give us a big fine and everything because I'm going to have to go to court and everything. And we says, not guilty, man. And we went back to town, you know, went to court enough. Finally, they said no contest, out of court, forget it.
Didn't you ask like people to light the sky or something?
Yeah,
like that?
man, you know, it's like if somebody throws a joint up on stage, you hold it up and go, what the hell is this? I don't tell anybody, smoke this. I don't say break that. I don't do anything of this sort, you know? That's a cheap way, man. Anybody can do that, you know? And I'm not being civic-minded and protecting the rights of other rock bands. This is so much as I believe in this kind of life, man. I believe it should exist. It's magic, man. It should always have magic.
Let's ask you this. I heard a band's taken out like an insurance policy on you. I mean, you've been like breaking legs.
What it is you make a lot of effort. Music comes out of effort. Sometimes something busts. You throw a rod, you know. Yeah, you know, I broke my nose in Rome, Italy. You know, there's a mirror ball hanging down in Italy. Evidently, they hang their mirror balls lower. And I took off for the ceiling, kissed that baby about 90 plus. There ain't a day you don't get up, something doesn't ache. It's maximum living, man. Everything's 4 times as much, 4 times as quick. Everything, whatever you want to get involved in. I choose to just really push. It should look like the music sounds, you know? Music goes, you stand there and go, music goes, and you should be able to do that without going, oh!
Yeah, this kind of takes it away if they have to wheel you out.
Well, I ain't no health freak, you know.
The conclusion of part 1 of our interview of Van Halen, right after this. We're back now with the conclusion of part 1 of our 2-part special interview of Van Halen. And we're going to begin this final segment of the show with a song called Could This Be Magic? Diamond Dave.
That was Eddie on slide guitar, and I played the finger picking. I'm on the left side. And, we put it together. We opened the bay doors, you know, loading doors in the studio. It was raining outside. We wanted to get that outdoors feel, you know. Actually, it was just letting the smoke and the funk out, you know.
Got a little ripe in there, huh?
Yeah, you know. And so, like, if you listen real close in the beginning of the tune, you can hear the rain, you know. Play the song, man. And, like, you can hear my foot tap go out of beat about 8 bars into the song. And then Michael and Al sing in on the chorus. And there's a female voice on one line of the song right after the solo when it goes, and she says, could this be magic? I ain't gonna tell you who it is, you gotta listen for it, but she was hanging out in the studio, and says, hey, come on in and sing along. You ain't getting no credit. Not all rock and roll music is fun, boogie like that. Some of it's serious stuff, you know, like that's where I come in. I carry a microphone, you know. But the idea is that you live by traveling and you play shows and recording, and these are a lot of things that it makes a different kind of life, and you should enjoy that in itself. You go out there trying to be a businessman and live on the road for any length of time, you can go nuts, man. You know, a lot of people get so distracted by all the business. Oh, I gotta fire my manager. Oh, I gotta fire my accountant. Oh, I gotta fire the lawyer. Oh, I gotta fire the secretary. We've done all of that, you know, but don't let it get to your head, man, because life's a bitch anyways, ain't it?
You once said that your songs were adding melodies and titles to your life.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good line.
It's just taking what you're doing and singing about it. It's like high velocity folk music. You know, it's got a cutting edge to it. I like my stuff with high density. I like impact. I like feel some kind of drive out of music. No matter what kind of music, some kind of propulsion's got to come out of it, or I'm gonna punch the button, you know. And I think most people are the same way. And so what you do is, you know, you just not so much think about it consciously, but you can always look at your shoulder, over your shoulder at a song and go, oh yeah, that's about me, or oh, that's about show, or oh, that's about sweetie, you know, or whatever, you know.
I mean, that's obviously, man, what rock and roll audiences want is they want to go there and listen to songs about themselves, you know, because it's about the only place you're going to get it. You ain't going to get it on TV.
Well, it's deliverance, man. You're going to be purified at the Van Halen show. You're going to walk outside and look at the building and go, building, fall on me. Nothing's going to happen. You're going to walk up, the car's going to pull up the car, try to hit my ass.
It ain't going to happen.
nothing will happen. I'm too quick anyways. That's the way you feel when you walk out of a Van Halen show. You feel sexy, you feel strong, you feel drained, man, it's great. Oh, yeah.
Well, all right. I think that's about it. We covered pretty much. I really enjoyed meeting you, man.
Hey,
I really
my
did.
pleasure, Jim. Thank you very much. Listeners, the show is over.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed part one of this special two-part interview of Van Halen, and that you'll be here next week, same time and same frequency, when our guest will be David Lee Roth and Alex Van Halen, and we'll discuss the album Fair Warning and their new release, Diver Down. That's next week on Innerview. I'm Jim Ladd.
This has been another Innerview, brought to you by Michelob Beer. Some things speak for themselves. By the U.S. Army, a place to be, all you can be. And Maxwell House Coffee. Innerview is written by Jim Ladd, produced and engineered at Innerview Recording Studios in Los Angeles. Innerview, a rock and roll tradition of great radio.
Hello. Yes, indeed, rock fans. The dynamic, colorful, cut-up cuties of that wonderful, wacky world of rock and roll. Diamond David Lee Roth at your service, and
David Dip Alex.
And
Jim Ladd here saying, welcome to Innerview.
sorry, man, prisoner of the fourth dimension today, you know.
I'm Jim Ladd. I want to invite you to join me this week for the second half of our two-part special interview of Van Halen.
This is Innerview, an inside look at the people whose music has changed our lives. Innerview is brought to you by Michelob Beer. Some things speak for themselves. By Peter Paul Cadbury Thick and Maxwell House Coffee.
Can you put some echo on this? Give me some verb, man. Some verb. Give me that rebound sound for those who get down in town.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second half of our two-part special interview of Van Halen. Now, last week, during part one, we met David Lee Roth, and during a conversation structured something like a pinball game, discussed Van Halen's first three albums. Tonight, we'll again meet Diamond Dave and welcome Alex Van Halen for a discussion that is something akin to limited audio warfare.
I'm Diamond David Lee Roth, and this is
Alex Van Halen.
Okay. You have troubles with intros. I noticed that.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah.
Tonight, we'll try to concentrate on the Fair Warning album and their newest release, Diver Down, although I make no promises. Oh yes, later on in the show, you're going to hear an interview exclusive when Diamond Dave will play something for us on acoustic guitar. Fortunately, this isn't it.
Yes, indeed, rock fans. The dynamic, colorful, cut-up cuties of that wonderful, wacky world of rock and roll. Diamond David Lee Roth at your service, and
David Dip Alex.
And
Jim Ladd here saying welcome to Innerview. I'm Jim Ladd. Welcome to the second half of our two-part special interview of Van Halen.
sorry, man, prisoner of the fourth dimension today, you know.
I thought we'd begin tonight's conversation with an example of how David Lee Roth works so hard to keep a clean mind and healthy body at all times.
I'm going to tell them about Saturday morning. I woke up Saturday morning, and we went out, and we were hanging out with some people in a band who were staying at the Sunset Marquis Hotel. And I woke up Saturday morning feeling terrible, man. Every part of me was bruised. I couldn't move. I felt worse than usual. And I was laying on the couch in the lobby of the Sunset Marquis Hotel. I mean, I live down the street. So it's like I'm laying. Alex, by this time, is back home, safely ensconced in his little cavelet. And I'm like,
with my cave woman.
I'd call him up from the payphone in the hotel lobby, and I'd say, what the hell happened last night? He says, oh, man, we were up on the second floor with James, man. We were partying and everything, and about 4:30 this morning, you bet everybody that you could fly and jumped right off the second floor balcony. I says, what happened? He says, you hit some trees real close to the balcony and we found you in the dirt down below. I says, how come you didn't stop me? Al says, stop you? I bet him 100 bills you could do it. I got a little bruise, whatever. I went down to the emergency ward at the hospital. And, you know, they says, it's not a concussion, it's nothing, you know, just go on home. They gave me this piece of paper that says all these different paragraphs for what's wrong with you. If you have sustained a severe head injury and are an outpatient, if you suffer A, nausea first thing in the morning, B, spinning, dizziness, loss of equilibrium for no reason, C, loss of appetite permanently. I said, man, I feel like this every morning for the last 8 years. I got a head injury.
You know what that means? I thought you were going to say that means you're pregnant.
That was Al.
I'm Jim Ladd. Our interview of Van Halen with tonight's guests, Alex Van Halen and David Lee Roth, will return in just a moment.
Come closer. Stroke your radio. Feel it looming up out of the dashboard even now as my words penetrate your body through your ears.
Now use your imagination.
See, that's what I've heard. All musicians are frustrated disc jockeys. Is that true?
Hoppin' and boppin' and poppin', baby, with the best bet for the boss beat at the top of the pop. Smash, go! With the timely tunes for those with a textured taste. Shut up, Dave. No time to waste. Jim, huh?
Wake up.
It's your cue, baby. Jim Ladd Show, Dave Roth here, and
Alex, your pal.
Al, your pal. Yes, indeed. The time is now, later than it's ever been.
We're back now with our interview of Van Halen.
Van Halen went through a phase in its early stages when we encountered every available vice and dissipating preoccupation, every possible pitfall in music business. And after having been through this phase and trying every single one of them 6 or 7 times, I personally have arrived at the 3 or 4 I like the most and do just those all the time. And that's what I'm gonna plow it into. It's starting to sound like a Cheech and Chong record. My whole life is starting to look like a Cheech and Chong record.
I thought it was a nice touch with the fur-covered ice cream truck you drove up in. You know, I thought that was kind of...
Well, that's the bad mobile. You know, we wanted to make a statement. These people are always pulling up in Mercedes-Benzes up on Rexford Boulevard in Beverly Hills and giving you to look like, here is my Mercedes, you know. And I figured cars are toys. Look what I did to mine. Yeah. So I put a skull and crossbones on it, in flaming gold and red with a 24-karat gold leaf tooth and flames and smoke coming out of the eyes and a big crack missing out of the top of his head and splintering cracks running all over his face.
Yeah, there is something to be said for putting, what is that, a $20,000, $30,000 automobile with a...
Well, we don't talk money.
I see, I see, you're not into
money. We had to work 3 years for it.
Well, Alex, let's hear some more about this machine shop.
Hey, wait a minute, I want to tell you something.
Street credibility.
No, you're getting the wrong impression, Jim. People always ask me about, what about all this money, Dave? Hard-earned dollars, bucks, greenbacks by the proletariat working class for something that comes so easily and simply for you. And I gotta tell you, man, I need that money. Yeah, what are you gonna do with it that I ain't gonna do? And this is the American way. Free enterprise, caveat emptor. So it's like, guy asked me the other day, and he says, you know, when I was growing up, the big heroes were all astronauts and baseball players. And now if you gave everybody who's real young their opportunity to be something real famous and big time, they'd all be rock stars. Why do you think that is, Dave? Huh? I told him, hey, well, would you rather do your cocaine in the dugout or on your Learjet? What's the difference, man? It's all showbiz. And if you believe that, boy, do I have a bridge for you. It's got your name on it.
Alex Van Halen.
If you start to get too serious about yourself, then you notice all of a sudden you walk around with 5 bodyguards, you don't talk to people. A lot of people will say that they're artists or artistes and they will not bow or bend to anything. They won't blow with the wind. And they'll say, we're going to play with this kind of stage, no lighting, this kind of thing. We want to keep it intrinsic, with just the performer to come through. Yet, they will try to send a trend by wearing funny hats. funny gloves, funny clothes, you know. So why not take it all away? Why not take it all away?
They're looking for a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They're looking for the financial reward. And for Van Halen, the idea is not the pot of gold, but rather the rainbow itself. It's all in the doing.
Well, there's an old saying, you know, I think it's one of Dave's favorite things. I think maybe that should be inscribed on your tombstone.
I have many favorite things.
Well, this one is a famous saying, or it says, you gotta think about this now. To be is to do.
Socrates said that.
Mm-hmm. To do is to be.
Plato said that.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Sinatra said that.
More of this most serious and philosophically probing discussion when our interview of Van Halen continues.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Give me 5 so I know you're alive.
Yeah, I'm alive.
Innerview, brought to you by Michelob, will be back in a moment with more of Van Halen.
I'm Jim Ladd, and we're back with our guests Alex Van Halen and David Lee Roth as our interview of Van Halen continues. Diamond Dave.
I had just bought this new thing. It's not a Walkman. It's some other kind. It's one of those little cigarette package-sized audio units, you know, with the little headphones and like that. And I was playing around with it in the backyard. I just put some new batteries in, and I wired it up to the car battery through a transformer that the guy who builds our lights made for me. So like, it was my theory that if we increased its sending power as far as playing the tape, then it would increase the receiving power. Now, I don't know about anything about electronics, but he went along with it. And I swear, I was playing around with it with the antenna out and the headphones on, and I started to receive a thing called the Prairie Home Companion Hour from Minneapolis, St. Paul, which apparently broadcasts every Saturday sometime or other. And I could only get it if I held like the full lotus position with my right arm up near my head, but not too far in front of my ear, even with the sideburn, and didn't breathe too heavily. Otherwise, we'd lose the reception. And I happened to catch like that song and maybe 2 others before we lost reception on the thing. And
And then God came on and said, Dave, your time is up. Give slack, son. More batteries.
How did you like working with your father? Was that,
That's not Mr. Van Halen, their father. That's Mr. Van Halen, the janitor at the studio. Mr. Van Halen, their father, would never stoop to this stuff, man.
Session musicians at this point in time will cost you an arm and a leg, and then some. So
Plus, you can't drink and have a good time with him.
Really?
As it was, he was 6 days late.
Made love to all our girlfriends.
Left a half hour early.
so Dad was into it then, right?
Yeah.
Like a real musician.
Was he a Mr. One-Take Wonder or what?
Well, Ted wanted to keep the song in its perspective feel. How's that? So what we did was we put one microphone, and we did it like the old sessions. No double takes, nobody isolated, no 15 tracks, 1 track only, and we played, and that was it. Like they used to do in the old days.
Give me one of Michael Anthony's most notable personality quirks.
He just gave birth to a miniature amp rack, and from what I understand,
8-ounce pinball machine. Yeah, here's a personality trait of Mike. How'd I get inside this can?
You'll never ask, how do I get out?
I'm down here by the label.
Help.
No, he's never even said help. He's like,
You might ask for a lifeline, but that's as far as it'll go.
a lifeline. He asked for a straw, man.
Would you explain this rather oblique line, Mr. Roth? This can't crow before I get out of the woods. There's exceptions to the rule.
No, Jim, it's can't crow before I get out of the woods, but there's exceptions to the rule. Now, that's an American euphemism that's been used for hundreds of years. It's applicable to the farm people who are on the East Coast, and they say that you can't crow like a crow would crow. Dig it? Knew you could. And it's like, and you can't crow because if you get lost in the woods, then a crow will get eaten. Problems will ensue. So a crow will never crow until he's out of the woods and into the open. But there are exceptions to the rule.
How come Intruder wasn't on the front of Pretty Woman on the single? Just wanted to save it for the album, or?
No, what happened was we thought we'd do something interesting and different, which was make a video to accompany Pretty Woman. We made a storyline that we thought was interesting, that we liked. directed it, wrote it, had some film made of it. Then when we finally completed it, it turned out to be 5 minutes long. The song, Pretty Woman, is only 2 minutes and 59 seconds, depending on where you judge the fade out. You know?
Right.
So instead of cutting the movie down, which we couldn't do effectively and still keep the storyline, what we did was we added music to it.
Very
So
good.
we went back in the studio and cut Intruder and patched it together, and there it was. Voila. In front of your face.
The miracle of modern technology. So we wrote an epic. We wrote a saga, something that can be continued, something that's meaningful. And we tried. What's the matter? Did I say something funny?
I think meaningful coming out of you is funny. Go ahead.
So it's like we did it as an extension of our creative personalities. We did everything on the movie ourselves. And so the movie's been banned in Australia, it's been banned in Japan, it's been in Hong Kong, Germany.
No one has ever seen this movie.
Well, the point being, when we made this thing, we thought, like Dave said, we'll make an epic, a mini epic, 5 minutes long. It's got a storyline which has absolutely nothing to do with the song.
But this is a surrealistic effort because if you'll remember back, Jim, in the early 20s, during the surrealistic pioneers movement of, you know, surrealistic art, what they would do is simply just throw the paint up on there in one night sitting and come back 3 days later and try and figure out what they meant. And this is a kind of a philosophy that we adopted to make this movie. On top of that, there is a secondary underlying theme, Jim. Money! No, what it is like if you watch a football game or something on television or a soap opera, like if you turn the sound off and listen to some music on the stereo or the radio, it seems to make some strange kind of sense. And this is how we edited the music to the movie. We just sort of slapped it on.
But it makes no sense, and I don't want to hear from Surrealist.
Well, wait a minute. It makes no sense to you. Flatter not thyself, my son. Makes damn good sense to me.
Now, this may come as a great surprise to some of you, but did you know that Diamond Dave can actually play a musical instrument and play it well?
I'm real surprised you can actually sing without having to have Eddie's guitar carry along there, Dave. But you know,
I'm surprised you're still sitting there without my fist in your face.
Thank you, Mr. Warmth. Anyway, before I completely lose control here, we're going to take a break, and we will be back with, among other things, an acoustic song from Diamond Dave. That and a lot more when our interview of Van Halen continues.
Nobody really knows what's going on, Jim.
Help me, Jim. Help me. I don't know anymore.
Jim, help. Turn off the radio, man. I don't know what's happening.
We're back now with the conclusion of our interview of Van Halen.
You forgot your question again, Jim.
no. You and maybe, I don't know if you know about this or not, but this guy and Paraquat Kelly from the station. You know Paraquat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really a sane, stable individual.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, him and Dave go to the Rialto Theater in Pasadena with a Ouija board and hold a seance because the theater's supposedly haunted.
Well, it's true. The Rialto Theater, this guy, you know, had committed suicide about 1920s, early 30s or something by hanging himself from the catwalk in the back of this theater, and now it just shows art films and things like that. And there are all these great stories about it. I've heard many people tell them, and the people who tell them are not joking, they're not jiving. They talk about how all the theater seats snap up at once, or big cold drafts out of nowhere come up, and on and on and on. So we took some beers and
I don't think Alex is buying this at all.
and we took a Ouija board and we took some more beers and we took, you know, some walkie-talkies and we put some pencils and paper in each corner of the theater, and it's a big old theater, and we put an active tape recorder downstairs in this labyrinth of dressing rooms, and it was spooky. I've never been that terrified in my life. And all I have is about 6.5 hours of cassette tapes of everybody sitting there going, "You scared?" "No, why are you?"
Well, then take a hit of this.
"No, here, have some of this."
Some more.
"Hey, thanks." "No, I ain't scared."
Not yet, huh?
Let me have another hit of that.
Okay.
Wow. And this big boomy theater, but at least I was there. You know, I hate the feeling that I'm missing something. Right. On the other hand, when we did finally walk out in the light of dawn, and everybody's going, huh, ain't nothing in there, dang, like that, I says, I'll bet anybody here $200 cash right now. You come back tomorrow night, and you stay in there alone. And everybody said, oh, no, man, got to go to the show tomorrow. I called the little lady. You know?
Got to get up early tomorrow, sorry.
You know? And everybody strolled on, but no contact was made.
Well, that's, what the hell? What else are you doing on a Saturday night, right? Might as well go down and tape record Hiss in a theater. That'll bring us right up to dirty movies, Dave. Which one of you guys is into raincoats and popcorn? That's all I want to know.
Raincoats and popcorn.
Yeah.
Depends on where you go, I think. You know, if you go down to Hollywood Boulevard and go to the Pussycat Theater, that's probably appropriate.
The trouble with dirty movies and things like of this nature are that when you go to them, I understand you catch bugs from the seats, right? Now, I have never, ever gone to a place of this nature, but I have heard from a friend that if you should ever catch these bugs, you know, from a seat like that or something, the best way to get rid of them is, like you say, with popcorn and raincoats. And what you do is you put on your raincoat, you go out to the movie theater, okay? You wear nothing but the raincoat. You get a big barrel of hot, greasy butter popcorn and put the whole salt shaker full of salt on the popcorn. Order yourself an extra large root beer. Now go down in the front row, get the exact center seat and sit down. Eat half the popcorn, drink the root beer. Then open up the raincoat, pour the popcorn all over yourself. And when the bugs get up to go get a root beer, change seats.
At this point in the conversation, I asked Dave if he would be in the mood to play something for us. Fortunately, he was, and here's what happened.
I'm gonna play a song here. There's a yellow-haired babe and she's a funky fox, but she got more angles than a cookie box. She got stylized hair, buddy, don't tell me that ain't false, 'cause she shows them legs with opportunity. Now she's a real go-getter in her tight red sweater. There'll be some drivers inside your pajamas tonight. Buddy, don't look at me and tell me, Dave, that ain't right. Well, there's red-eyed Ruby with a built-up hips. She got nut-crushing boobs and jam-top lips. Says angle B connections, baby, downtown at 8. When you know she's just a hustler from your daddy's brigade. She's the same old number, but Jim, she just looks like your mother. There'll be citations on your public relations overnight. Buddy, don't look at me. Tell me, Dave, that ain't right. Check it out here. So,
All right. Good for you.
all right.
Well, it's been just another run-of-the-mill boring interview here up at the house. You know, another real quiet, introspective
When I'm
moment.
calling you. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another peaceful moment with Van Halen, brothers of the flesh and the soul, in front of your naked, steaming ears, already inside your bodies as my words are even now. Thank you for joining us. I'm David Lee Roth and
Alex Van Halen.
And Jim Ladd.
yes, indeed, for the hour of power, the tower of hour of power. It's our tower of our power. And let's close now with the question that America's been asking itself for the last 65 years. What is behind door number 3?
I'm sorry, below the buzzer says time is up.
I'm sorry, Jim, you win the dog food instead of the Buick. And the answer to the question America has been asking itself for the last 65 years is, I don't know. Join us again next week, friends. But probably on another radio station.
The Rude and Crude Hour, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys very much for coming up here.
Well,
it's nice
thank
to
you.
meet you, man.
All right, Jim.
It really was. Good to
Thank
see
you very
again.
much. Pleasure always.
Hey, Jim,
Yo,
get a haircut.
thank you.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this last hour of confrontation and that you'll join us next week, same time and same frequency, for another interview. I'm Jim Ladd.
Nationwide radio, Al.
Gotcha, Al.
Nationwide. Thanks, man.
Come back when you have less time. Here's your hat. What's your hurry? Beam me up, Scotty.
No sign of intelligent life down here.
This has been another Innerview, brought to you by Michelob Beer. Some things speak for themselves, by Peter Paul Cadbury Thick and Maxwell House Coffee. Innerview is written and hosted by Jim Ladd, produced and engineered at Innerview Recording Studios in Los Angeles. Innerview, a rock and roll tradition of great radio.